Well, the Bank of Ghana leaving its main policy rate, as we are saying, unchanged at 16%, citing a balance of risk between inflationary pressure and growth. For more on this decision, we're joined by Theophilus Richardson, development economist and policy analyst, joining us there from Accra in Ghana. Thanks for joining us today, Dr. Richardson. So let's get into this decision right now, because inflation has been seen to be a major factor in the economy. But we have, of course, seen the depreciation in the cedi slowing to a rate of 3.4% so far this year, to the end of June, that is, relative to the sharp depreciation last year. But what do you see how do you see the inflation picture panning out for the rest of the year in light of this decision?
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity to comment on this very important issue. I think the Bank of Ghana has done well in its assessment of the situation in Ghana. And based on the fact that the Bank of Ghana has been using inflation targeting regime, which is based on a kind of new Keynesian framework, which it doesn't integrate certain factors. And the Bank of Ghana has recognized the importance of certain factors in determining the inflation rate. So in addition to monetary pressures or the monetary consequences of fiscal policy, they have also recognized the likely impact of increases in wages as well as increases in utility prices, which are not well captured by most consumer price indexes in the assessment of inflation. So it tells us that they expect inflationary pressures to be strong in the second half of the year, and I think their assessment is just accurate on our spot.
Mm-hmm. But to what extent do you see growth being affected right now, in one part by the fact that we have concerns around the oil price, commodity prices? We know that, of course, is very key to the Ghanaian economy.
Well, this has to do with the fundamental causes of inflation in a developing country's economy such as Ghana's. And although there are monetary pressures or factors arising from monetary policy, as well as the impact of fiscal policy, in the main, the monetary consequences of fiscal policy. The problem there is that though these factors are relevant, inflation in Ghana has been reduced, has been kind of, the analysis of inflation in Ghana shows that inflation is more of a structural problem than it is any other problem. And what this assessment tells us is that there are structural factors which are stronger than the monetary and non-structural factors. So in the next second half of the year, we should expect the impact of these structural variables to have much greater impact on the inflation than the non-structural factors. And indeed, increases in petroleum prices and other external shocks, are likely to have far greater impact on the economy than the impact of fiscal policy and the monetary consequences of fiscal policy. So what we should expect is that the Bank of Ghana, and in coordination or collaboration with the Treasury or the Ministry of Finance, must strive to achieve or enhance more consistency in fiscal policy in order to mitigate the impact of these external shocks in driving inflation upwards. So we should expect some upward pressures in inflation.
Yeah, I mean, as you were saying, you're looking more to the external environment right now, but there have been a lot of concerns around, the fiscal position of government right now, its ability to meet its borrowing requirements and the interest payments there. So they've introduced temporary measures, temporary taxes to help smooth the country. I mean, what's your assessment of the raft of changes in the tax code and also changes in the introduction, rather, of new taxes to the economy? Do you see that having a negative effect or a positive effect?
Well, definitely taxes have effect on the economy. It has effects in terms of incentive to work. It has effect or impact in terms of the incentive to save. It has impact on the economy in terms of the incentive to invest. So in determining or arriving at a decision to increase the tax rate or introduce more taxes, what the government should ask themselves is what are the likely effects of increase in taxes on overall investment and growth of the economy. as well as inequality. And these are very important considerations for the economy of Ghana. I think that what the government must, the starting point for the analysis of the fiscal position of government is that normally usually we move from the expenditure to revenue. And the government must look at the expenditure side and reallocate its expenditure by giving priority to those expenditures which would tend to pay themselves back. And I think if the government is able to do that, then it should also be achieved more consistency in its budgetary allocations, and that I think should be the way forward. Yeah. Also, a very important consideration in taking decisions to increase the taxes is what we call the buoyancy of the tax system. You know, tax policy has to do with optimality. Optimality, in other words, to what extent an increases in tax can be supported by the economy. So, how buoyant is the tax system? What is the capacity of the tax system to achieve the objectives of whatever tax policies that will be taken by the government? And that must be a fundamental consideration in reaching any tax decision. So we must move first from expenditure to tax. Otherwise, we will rather batten increases in taxes will result in battling the hatches of growth.
Theophilus, we're going to have to leave it at